So welcome back to Axelent TV. Once again we're going to talk about norms today with Matthias Schultz. And today, Matthias, we're going to talk about the ISO 13857 safety distance. That's an interesting norm and the one I've been following for the longest time, I think, when we've been working with Axelent.
Yes, particularly important for Axelent products because we try to keep people out of danger zones.
Yeah.
And not only entire people, but also their body parts.
Yeah, yeah.
And this standard is based on the size standards for body parts. Like a hand is 25 millimeter thick, that's what the assumption is, and an arm length is 850 millimeters. So we have dimensions for that, for what they call the 95th percentage of the human race.
Yeah.
So 95% of the people fit in that size range that is the basis for the standard. So it gives clues on how high fences can be and the likes.
Okay. So what do you think is the most important with this standard?
Well, the most important is that it gives clear limits and clear instructions on how to apply the standard. For instance, if you want to design a fence that's at the right height so people can't reach across the fence into the hazard zone, you follow a principle of determining these three factors here. Mm-hmm. The height above the floor where your hazard is. Mm-hmm. Normally that's fixed because of construction reasons. Yeah. And then the distance horizontally from the position of the person to the hazard. Mm-hmm. And then you can read from a table the height of the fence, the minimum height that's required so that nobody can reach across into the hazard zone. It's quite simple really, but you have to apply it correctly, and the standard explains this very nicely. So in every application people have to do that. Sometimes people say to us, well, but a 2-meter fence will always be enough. Well, look at me, I'm almost 2 meters, so 2-meter fence is not enough for me. If the hazard is close to the fence, then I can easily reach across that 2 meters and reach into the hazard zone. That, of course, you don't want.
And also with the safety distance, you talked about the mesh size, yes, where you have really 3 different distance: 120, 200, and 850 millimeter. Is that correct? Or?
Yes, that depends on what you can stick through the holes. Yeah. Is it just a finger, or is it your finger up to the thumb's root
Knuckles,
here?
Yeah.
Knuckles, yeah. And then the distance has to grow, because otherwise you could reach a danger zone on the inside. The same is true on the bottom. We must not have more than 180 millimeters clearing on the bottom below the fence, because one could reach accidentally, for instance, when you slip, with your feet underneath or your whole leg. Yeah. So if you have a hazard near the floor, then you must take care that it is not too close to the fence. It should be almost a meter away, or you would have to put the fence right down to the floor to prevent somebody who slips into it accidentally from getting hurt.
But that part is quite new of the standard, isn't it? That 180 millimeter was changed a few years ago only.
Well, there always was a limit. We have a different limit in a different standard, in ISO 11161. It says 200 millimeters. And the 13857 wasn't too strict on the topic. We are expecting a new version to be published in 2018, and the text that I have read last shows that we will be very strict on these 180 millimeters in the future, because otherwise we have a residual hazard that's too big. And
with Axelent is no problem anyway, because we have a 100 millimeter gap underneath, so we're even better closer down to that.
And people can buy these elements to close the rest.
Absolutely,
And in some applications you will want that. And even if it's just in a few danger spots that you do that.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, Matthias. So stay tuned at Axelent TV. We're going to soon be back with more interesting information.